Hey, I have my sheep behind me and you can see that white little boot on that sheep's hoof next to my shoulder there. It's been a very wet and rainy winter here in central New Jersey, and I know a lot of you are experiencing the same. Well, with wet and muddy pastures comes hoof rot. Now, I keep my sheep inside the barn as much as I can, but I also need to provide them with exercise and movement to keep them healthy. But anytime you expose hoofs to moisture, you run the risk of hoof rot. That sheep with the boot right there had a very severe case of hoof rot. It took a long time to get a vet here, but I'm going to tell you something. It only took 2 weeks using the method that my vet recommended and taught me for her to have a full recovery. We take the bandage off for the last time in just 2 days. So let me show you what I used, what my vet taught me to do as far as procedure goes. This is obviously not a substitute for veterinary care by a professional. This is just to hopefully provide some education and help you know how to bandage a hoof properly. So the first step to helping out our sheep is making SugarDine. This is a very simple solution. It's just 1 cup of white table sugar. This is not a time to use organic cane sugar, brown sugar. Trust me, I try to be as organic and natural as possible. But the refinement process of granulated white table sugar removes impurities, and that's why it creates a sterile product that we can use on the hoof of the sheep. Just like salt, what it does is it draws out the moisture and helps to reduce inflammation. My vet swears by it. I'm going to teach you how to make it. Then we'll gather the rest of the supplies and we'll head outside. All right, start with a container that you don't plan on reusing for anything food related and add 1 cup of sugar. Then we're gonna add just a few drops of betadine. You can get this at most farm stores. What we're gonna do is continue to stir the sugar and the betadine and keep adding more drops. We are going to create a very thick, solidified paste. Seal it up, let's get outside. We need duct tape, clean cotton cloth, a good pair of scissors, some vet wrap. There's our SugarDine, it's all finished. And my vet recommends Koppertox. I've got some disposable gloves here and we have a leash. Here's a look at the sheep hoof upon unbandaging. Now my sheep has been undergoing treatment for about 2 weeks. Yours is probably going to look a lot more painful. The sheep will be very sensitive and not like to be touched. Now I've already done this, but if you haven't already, trim the hoof of the sheep. Get it as close as you can to the quick without actually getting into the quick. We don't want to cause a secondary bacterial infection, but we want to remove any cracked hoof growth around the perimeter of the foot of the hoof and also in between the toes. Give your sheep a break from a moment if you just trimmed and prepare your bandage. Do this by taking 4 pieces of duct tape, about 6 to 8 inches long, and just forming a star. Set that off to the side. If this is your first time bandaging, now is the time to douse the hoof with a coating of Koppertox. You're going for the bottom of the hoof and in between the toes. We are weaning this sheep off, so I'm going to move on to SugarDine. Pack the SugarDine gently, quickly, and carefully in between the hoof toes and all through the base. Take a small piece of clean cotton cloth and twist it to form a floss to go between the toes. This holds the SugarDine in place. Grab more cotton to create a base for our boot. We're going to put this over the base of the hoof and hold in place while you gather vet wrap and wrap in place securely. Not too tight. We want to make sure circulation is flowing, but tight enough that the boot will not easily come off. Make sure the cotton cloth completely covers the base of the hoof. Give the sheep a rest and go gather the duct tape star that we made. Apply the center of the star to the bottom flat part of the hoof. Now simply just fold up each piece. Be careful of the fiber that is around the top of the hoof base. We want to leave out as much fiber as possible so it doesn't stick when pulling off the boot. Wrap it around and secure. Now we're going to add an extra portion of duct tape around any exposed vet wrap and also just to coat once again the base of the hoof. This will securely keep the boot in place and also create a watertight barrier. Obviously, the goal is to keep the foot as dry as possible during treatment. We're going to change the bandage in 3 days, at which time more Koppertox will be applied, more SugarDine, cotton cloth flossing, a new cotton swab, vet wrap, and also more bandaging. If the sheep is exposed to wet pasture, exchange the bandaging more often. Treatment duration will depend on your sheep and how quickly they recover and the severity of the infection. Thus, it's a good idea to have your vet check.